It is puck time for Thursday, January 8th. Welcome in, guys, to WagerTalk TV. We got a handful of games to break down, and just the two of us on today's show, myself, Andrew McInnis, and Carmine Bianco. Look forward to going over a couple games with you guys. A busy Thursday slate. I got some props for you guys today as well. We'll try and cash in on some same-game parlays. I got 3 mini same-game parlays. You guys can cash in, or you can take the whole thing and try and look for a big prize winner. Carmine has a play of the day. We also have some stats for you in a cool little segment. So look forward to going over that. Carm, I got to mention, man, this Celebrini kid is just unbelievable. Like, he is unbelievable. If you're not watching San Jose Shark games, you got to turn them on, because it's crazy what this guy does. Like, they're on a second half of back-to-back. He ties the game up, and then in overtime, he strips the guy from the puck, 2-on-1, perfect pass. He ends up getting, was it a 2 or 3 point night at least? I mean, he is phenomenal, and I think that he has separated himself from being just a young guy in the league to an elite star in this league. But a pretty good night of NHL last night. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a 1-on-1 night for me. Thankfully, Celebrini and the Sharks helped that game go over the total, which is the one made it a 1-on-1 night. Or else it would have been a bit of a disaster for me. It's the last 2 days is like I'm 4-6 with 10 plays, and that might not seem bad, but I find it I find it kind of disastrous, to be honest with you. Like, I'd won seven straight like soccer plays, and yesterday's 2 plays looked like they were going to split out, and then a goal near the end of the game ruined it for me. So it was an 0-2 day there, 1-1 in NHL hockey. So 4-6, I call it a slump, but I'll right the ship and we'll get back at it today. I won't have any soccer plays up, but I will mention at the end of the show the ones that one that I do like today, but it's not going to make the card. I'm just betting it. And then some NHL plays, which I will get up after the show. I've gotten written down. I'm waiting for goalie confirmations, Andrew. Speaking of goalie confirmations, Andrew, did you see, and did you guys who are watching this live or a little later on see what happened in St. Louis? I thought the Jacob Markstrom thing with him getting them leaving him in net to get hung out to dry for 9 goals in a disaster. And I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Yesterday afternoon, I'm replying to some comments on the video, and I'm watching the Manchester United game, drinking some San Pellegrino, and I literally spit my water over my laptop because some guy commented about 3:00 in the afternoon, "Hey, Carm, the Islanders just scored again." You know what? It's just it's a bit of sarcasm, but those are the kind of comments that just make you laugh because it was such a disastrous game. Good humor. But Binnington did not want to come out of the game. He calls him over. Coach calls him over. He doesn't want to come out of the game. The backup goalie, Hofer, is nowhere to be seen. And then when they come back from the commercial break, you see Hofer peeking from behind the corridor or what have you. He's just looking to see if anyone can spot him back there. He didn't even want to go into net. I don't know what is going on, man. But that was hilarious, in the moment. And luckily I had no action on that one, Andrew. So that made me feel a little bit better.
Well, I was saying to you before the show started, Carm, that I have been defending Jordan Binnington and saying that, right now he has Canada's net at the Olympics just based on the performance that he had at the Four Nations tournament last year. But as of right now, I don't know if he deserves the net after one of the stuff that I've been seeing. Like, he had this shutout against the Montreal Canadiens. What was it, last Saturday, I think, Carm? And then, 7 goals. And then, as you mentioned, why are we seeing so many Patrick Waugh situations going on here? Why aren't these guys pulling their goalie? I mean, I guess they tried to pull him, but he wouldn't. And then, yeah, you said Joel Hofer is like, he's behind the curtain saying, like, do you want me to come out? It was weird. But yeah, these guys are getting lit up like Christmas trees lately. And I think it makes it worse that it was Chicago. Let's be honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, on my pre-scout video, I talked about player props in that game. I talked about the under in that game. That game was 5.5 shaded towards the under. And then it ended up like
Really?
7-1 or something, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, Colsey says, no way Team Canada can start him. That's the thing, man. Like, I agree. Like, I was team start him for the last few months, but lately, I don't know. I just like, if you go on YouTube and you look up the Four Nations finals, you look at all the amazing saves he made, it kind of made me think that the net was his, but he's playing pretty poorly, Carm. So it's hard for us to think that the net's going to be his for much longer. Let's look, Carm, at a couple games we're going to break down. I think did you mention the games? I don't know if you did or not.
No,
Flames,
Calgary. Yeah, Calgary, Boston, the Buffalo Sabres, and the much maligned and now injured New York Rangers. And we'll talk a little bit about that. How can we not have a show and not talk about the next game being played by the New Jersey Devils as they are in Pittsburgh tonight? Then inside the numbers, a segment I have for you guys today. I recorded some videos for WagerTalk yesterday talking about how to bet the NHL puck lines, and I compiled a few stats for you guys to hopefully sway you one way or another on whether you like betting puck lines or not. And then, of course, Andrew's same game parlay, the pod, which will surprise you guys, and then our closing. We need to get that pod back on. Andrew, I will say this, and I was having a discussion with a few people yesterday, and they clearly, I said the pods, I think this has lost like 2 or 3 in a row, and they said, yes, and your bankroll is still up because your the pod play is showing that with proper bankroll management, you don't go bust if you lose 2 or 3 games in a row. So with that said, let's get to the show, Andrew. Boston Bruins, Calgary Flames, minus 139 on the Bruins. Calgary plus 114. Total sits here at 6. How are you playing this one? Flames on the second of a back-to-back.
Yeah, I think that I've been saying this a lot during the season, Carm, how much different it is when you've got a team that's struggling on a second half of back-to-back versus a team that's coming off a huge victory. The sense of urgency is going to be there. A good example is Dallas, right? Dallas last night, we both talked about Dallas yesterday, coming off a bunch of losses in a row. You lose against the Carolina Hurricanes, and then you pull off the win against the Washington Capitals. And albeit they were missing Alexi Protas and they were missing Tom Wilson, a couple key injuries for that team overall, as we can see that, a second half of back-to-back isn't always a fade spot for a team. Now, looking at some of my numbers here, we have been seeing both teams collapsing defensively, allowing a ton of goal-scoring chances each game. This seems to be one of those ones, Carm, where I am interested in looking at second half of back-to-back to the over. You've got a Bruins team, first game back at home after an extended road trip. They're not going to like how that road trip ended by any means. And I think that they're going to want to get right back on track offensively. TD Garden's one of the more exciting buildings to play in as well. But I lean towards the over here. Both teams defensively are giving up a ton of chances, high danger chances, slot chances each game they've played in. The Bruins, they started off that West Coast road trip on a pretty good note, but their defensive numbers started to slide towards the end of it. And it's funny because Calgary almost pushed it to 4-2 yesterday against the Montreal Canadiens, and then they got called for offside with the challenge, so it ended up being just a 4-1 game. It was one of those ones, though, Carm, honestly, and I was worried about the trap spot. I'm a Canadiens fan. We talked about it on the show yesterday. It was not a trap spot because Montreal was the better team in that one. Calgary did not show up, so look forward to seeing what type of team they are in this game tonight. Wouldn't be shocked to see a better effort out of them tonight than we did see last night. Lean for me towards Calgary, but wouldn't talk anybody off goals being scored in this game either.
Yeah, I don't think I'd talk anybody off of goals either in this one, Andrew, even though I always think that the Bruins aren't a team that you would normally see. But I think that's something from last year and the year before, a team that you would think would get into higher scoring games, but it hasn't been a very good season, I don't think, for Swayman, since getting his bag. and taking over like the number one duties. It hasn't been the greatest for him. Devin Cooley going is the one who's expected to start the second of this back-to-back. You look at his last couple starts, 6-3 win for them against the Vegas Golden Knights, 4-3 against the Detroit Red Wings, a loss there. We've seen some goals, and even a 5-1 in the previous start against the Nashville Predators. So it's one of those ones where, his last three starts, we've seen at least six goals being scored. And now when this total sits at 6, if it was 6.5, I would just stay away from it or look to try and bet the over in game. But this is one with Calgary in the second of a back-to-back, not playing well on the road. I think they've lost 5 of their last 6. They definitely lost their last 3 on the road. Bruins returning home off a 5-game road trip. Started in Buffalo and then went out east where they picked up some wins, a couple good wins there, I think in Vancouver and in Edmonton before losing that 7-4 game against the Kraken returning home. Let's see if they score some goals in this one tonight. I know early in the season, Andrew, I don't have the stats. Early in the season, the Bruins were one of the best teams for team totals on home ice. They were constantly hitting their team total. So if you like the Bruins and that team total is 3.5 plus money, I would probably look to take that as well too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, Carm. I just think that it's one of those situations where you have a first game back home after a road trip, as well as a second half of a back-to-back off a loss. There seems to be urgency in mind for both teams. Now, whether or not we're going to just see Calgary say, okay, we can't find our offense right now, we got to pack it in defensively, or the urgency becomes, more of an important factor, and you start, dumping pucks deep. And because, one stat that I've been looking at a lot more lately, as far as the advanced metrics is concerned, Carm, is the possession. Possessions become a lot more important to me because, certain teams that are just dump and chase teams, but they're not ever retrieving it. How can you score goals? How can you be involved in games where, you're not carrying the puck too much? And that's one thing that Calgary's kind of struggling with right now, but we'll see if they can take advantage of a Calgary team like that. We got a question here from David. He is, of course, a WagerTalk member. He says, question for you guys. Does it scare you to take a team that returns home from a road trip? Opinion, please. Carm, what do you think?
It does, but in a situation different than this one. I mean? If there was a team in Boston waiting with a day's rest, I hadn't played the night before, and the Bruins returned with one day's rest because they played on Tuesday. I'd likely look to fade the Bruins in this spot, especially because they picked up a couple wins on that road trip. It wasn't bad. I think the 7-4 loss to Seattle is a little disappointing. I'd look to fade them in that spot. Again, although it's a 5-game road trip, it was essentially a 4-game West Coast trip with some travel along the way, right? What they do? They went Calgary to Edmonton, Edmonton to Vancouver, Vancouver to Seattle, and then back home. So a little bit of travel in the Northwest for them. I would probably look to fade them. It's one of those angles I look for. East Coast teams returning from the West Coast that have played at least 3, maybe 4 games out there, and vice versa. West Coast teams returning home off the East Coast. It is not foolproof, but it is one that I look at, and then it is one of the boxes that you check off, and then you look at other boxes. Is the goaltending matchup a favorable one? Is the team that they're playing at least playing well or over 500, and check off some boxes and then just get the right price. We're not getting the right price here on Calgary for a team that's not playing well on the road right now, plus 114. And I said it, plus money against Montreal wasn't, it just wasn't enough to take them in that spot either, Andrew.
That's how I feel too. I get it. For my answer to David will be a lot of it has to do with how the road trip went for the team. How they're feeling, what their mindset is. So, some teams, Habs Relic talked about how the Habs got back from a road trip and they certainly played well. They had a couple of days rest and they outclassed the Flames. But sometimes it kind of just depends on how that road trip went overall. I look at that. I look at that last game for the Bruins, and I'm just looking at some of the stat sheet here for some of the Kraken players. Like the number of shots some of these guys were able to get, and the Kraken, let's be honest, they're not really a high event team. It's not a team that can score a bunch. And the fact they're able to put 7 goals up on you, it's going to create some urgency here for the Bruins. That does kind of worry me a bit for the over tonight, but at the end of the day, I think their urgency is going to be offensive. It really is. But they're going to want to get back on track, And the funny thing is that game, and that's one thing that I'm kind of looking at now and reflecting, is that I backed the Bruins in that game because the Kraken were so bad in back-to-backs. But that was a tough spot for the Bruins because they had won 2 games in a row. Strong win against the Oilers, win against the Canucks, and it was last game of their road trip. So, David, one thing I'll say is that sometimes the last game of a road trip can be actually more tricky than the first game back at home of a road trip. The last game of the road trip can sometimes be, that tough one to look at. So, Carm, the chat room is bumping right now, which you love to see. A lot of you guys packed in here today. Great to see.
Yeah, and if you guys have some questions, definitely drop them in there. We'll try and get to them in between the games we cover. Andrew, I remember, I think we covered this either last year or the year before on the show. Dean Evanson said that his training staff told him that for every day and a half they spend on the road, on a road trip, it takes a player's body 1 day when they return home to readjust. So imagine like a 6-day road trip is essentially 4 days before they are back to 100% off that road trip. That seems hard to comprehend for these athletes who are in such great physical shape, but these are the trainers. This is the fitness staff that are telling the coach, and he's talking about it. So
and time zones too, right?
Yeah, because you're coming across. Important. Yeah, you're coming across different time zones. So definitely that's something to look at. So, I watched that game with the New York Rangers last time they played, and I think it was against Utah because I had Utah in that game. And it didn't look bad when Shesterkin was on the ice. And I thought, did he just try and draw a penalty? But no, because he left the game, went into the dressing room, and now he's gone. And it looks like he may be gone for a while. Adam Fox gone as well, too, for a while. They get Miller back. He's supposed to be back in the lineup tonight for them, but it's not good times right now if you're a New York Rangers fan. And I think, Andrew, at some point, does this become one of those, the New York Rangers are not going to make the playoffs and they need to move some players and acquire some assets and draft prospects as well, too, or draft picks as well, too, because they got a couple of guys who would look good on other teams. They already got rid of Kreider, so they'll get rid of players. What about Panarin, the bread man? Can you see him going anywhere? Buffalo Sabres, -127. The New York Rangers at home, +105, total of 6. Andrew, where are you going with this one?
Well, Carm, this is kind of like one of those games, like as you mentioned, where, like you said, like this Rangers team is so weird because when I look at them, they're not really the type of team that can go into a rebuild. They almost need to go into a retool almost because they're not ready to just pack it in and start a rebuild again because they did a rebuild many years ago. But as you mentioned, they seem to be, put it this way, their young players don't perform the way that they should, and the old players are just getting older, and I think the expectations of some of these guys on a nightly basis, like you talk about the Breadman and Zibanejad, how good were those guys at the quote-unquote Winter Classic game in Florida? Those guys were awesome. Zibanejad had the first ever hat trick at a Winter Classic game. He was unbelievable. Panarin, I think, had 2 or 3 assists on those goals. They were great, but it's a real big depth issue on this on this New York Rangers team. And that's where I find the biggest struggles are concerned with them. Now, whenever we're talking about this Rangers team, I have to go back to this number here, Carm, when it comes to the home and away splits here. Looking at the numbers, home goals for and against differential, -24. Away, goals for and against differential, +18. Like, this started off as some type of like funny thing to talk about with how bad this team has been at home. But now the consistency of this number has just gotten a little bit carried away. Like it's continued. It's piled on. And the funny thing is that they've actually given up the same number of goals on the road as they have at home. The difference is, this is going to blow your guys' mind. They've scored 36 goals at home, but they've scored 78 goals on the road. That's incredible. 36 to 78. Like, that is an unbelievable difference. And the thing is, you're supposed to have the last change. You're supposed to be a better team at home. You're supposed to get the matchups that you like. So that to me is a little bit concerning. So when it comes to this one, Carm, I know we've got a backup goalie, and I know that Quick hasn't played his best hockey lately, but I'm actually interested in taking the under here. You know, I think that this is going to be one of those spots where you lose Shesterkin and the team rallies behind the team. We see it in football. We see it in basketball. We can see it in hockey too. You lose the quarterback. You lose the star point guard. You lose your goaltender. You rally around your team and you play a good defensive one here. Jonathan says here that Quick has lost 7 straight good career numbers versus Buffalo, but those numbers for LA days, making his first start as a New York Ranger against Buffalo. Look, when it comes down to it, I am betting on the fact that they're going to get their act together for at least a game or two when they're without Igor Shesterkin, Carm. I like the under in this one. Maybe have a small lean towards New York, but I am much more comfortable betting the under here. And don't look now, but your Buffalo Sabres, they've actually had some decent goaltending over the last couple weeks. So maybe the goalie system they've got going right now isn't that bad either.
Yeah, we'll see. It's supposed to be Colton Ellis in goal tonight for the Sabres. He had to leave that Edmonton game, the game that they won 4-3. He had to leave that game due to a concussion. He had stopped all 6 shots through the first period. I think he left with about a minute left in the first period. In that one, you know, he's had some bad games. This is a thing, and this is a thing with bringing up a young goalie. He's had some bad games. You know, they lose. He allowed like 5 goals on 35 shots against the Philadelphia Flyers in a 5-2 loss in Philly. The game before that, they beat the Minnesota Wild, you know, in Minnesota 3-2. So he's been in net for some good games. He's been in net for some bad games, you know, winning in Detroit, beating Edmonton at home, but then losing to Calgary. It's up and down with him. I tend to think that if you want to protect a young goalie like this, you have to play some better defense in front of them. And the thing right now is that the Sabres are playing with a ton of confidence right now. They're 11-1 their last 12 games. I thought there could be a letdown after they lost, after their 10-game win streak was snapped, but they took care of the Vancouver Canucks on home ice. I think they go into New York. The problem here is the Rangers just can't score goals at home. They're averaging something like 1.94 goals per game. Going into that Utah game, they're averaging at home. That's absolutely horrible for a team with players like they have to be averaging 2 goals per game on home ice. And this is why they are where they are right now in the standings. So Sabres could be in a playoff spot by the end of the night. It's going to be one of those interchangeable ones. We'll be talking about teams that are on the outside looking in and then back in the playoffs the following day. That is the Eastern Conference, and that is so tight. I'm taking the Sabres minus 127. Too much going wrong for the New York Rangers for me to have any faith in them whatsoever.
And it really tells you all you have to know about this New York Rangers team if the Buffalo Sabres are favored against them on the road. It tells you all you have to know. Really, let's be honest. If we're listening to the market here, it tells you all you have to know about that one there. So, all right, Carm, this is the moment we've all been waiting for on the show. And I've got a surprise for you. And I know you're going to just love me for bringing up this graphic here. So I'm happy that we're in different cities because I'm going to bring this up. 74.5% deserve to win meter from moneypuck.com.
What the hell?
The New Jersey Devils are playing the Pittsburgh Penguins today. a lot of you guys out there on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, people are saying, and this is why the advanced metrics don't matter. This is why expected goals don't matter. Carm, I go to you with this. How much do they matter to you in the next game? Forget about one game. It's one loss. Who cares? It's one game. You want to win them all. You want to win the big plays. It's one game. But when you're looking at this image, at least it's not 75-25 the other way. It's probably an indication that, yeah, Markstrom screwed them. And I'm the kind of person that always defends goaltenders, man. I don't know why. I always defend goalies. Markstrom screwed these guys. And so he had a minus 7.5 goals saved above expected. Minus 7.5. They're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight, Carm. Deep breath. Namaste. How do you like
Andrew,
this one tonight?
You could keep that graphic there and remove the writing, and you could just put in there Carm's blood pressure right now, and it would be about the same reading right now, 75% over what it's supposed to be right now. For those of you guys just tuning in who missed yesterday's show, yes, I had the New Jersey Devils in a 9-0 loss. How does that even happen? But we've seen some lopsided scores this year, but I didn't think I would ever be on one side of it. Namaste. Okay. Andrew, here's the thing.
Can they bounce
a
back?
A lot of the sound bites coming out after the game, and I think it's a very important, not only the after the game, but the very next day when they've had some time to digest what the hell just happened to them the night before. Guys like Nico Hischier came out and said, listen, he goes, I'm a leader on this team. We didn't play well. I didn't play well. I take full blame for what's going on. Well, he shouldn't take full blame for it. A lot of the players on that team should take blame for it because they played bad defensively, including the goalie Markstrom, who allowed 3 goals on his first 5 shots. You can't handicap that. But then even, someone like Sheldon Keefe, we talk in the NFL sometimes about why is this coach not using his timeouts at the end of the first half? You don't get to use them in the second half. What are you saving them for? What is Sheldon Keefe doing, not calling a timeout to bring his team over and say, guys, settle down. Let's get the next one, make it 3-1 and get back in this game. He just let it snowball and snowball and snowball. And that's why I think at some point Sheldon Keefe is gone from this New York Rangers team unless they start to win some games, because there's a couple of good coaches out there waiting for the right opportunity, Andrew. So we'll see if that happens. But you know what? And this isn't the fate of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I feel like the Devils are going to bounce back tonight, and they're even money. I'm not even laying juice with them. They are even money right now off a 9-0 loss. It can't get any worse. Let's hope I'm not doing a Friday show where I say, did you see that 10-0 game last night? Because that would be absolutely miserable for me. I'm taking the New Jersey Devils, Andrew. What about you?
Carm, I think that people have to always stop looking at coaches and look at general managers more. I think we need to start the Fire Fitzy hashtag on social media, because Fitzpatrick, he is the one that I think has to go in New Jersey. Some of the changes that they've made. Do you know how much money Dougie Hamilton is making? Do you know how much money Dougie Hamilton cashed in on? And he's been playing like he's worth half that as of late. I mean, that's, to me, like, some of these moves have been difficult. And you know what's crazy, Carm, is that we have not seen one coach get fired this season so far in the NHL. It's January 8th. We have not seen one coach fired this year. If they're going to fire Keefe, I don't think they fire him during the year. But if they're going to fire anybody, I think the general manager also goes as well. Look, I talked about this game on my show yesterday night, and I think that there's 2 ways to look at this game. You can take the New Jersey Devils, or you can take the under. And one thing to always worry about when it comes to the Pittsburgh Penguins is they surrender a lot of odd man rushes. They allow a lot of possession time for the opponents. But because this team is a veteran team, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. The time in between games for them, a handful of games, can hopefully at least work for them in a defensive way. Hopefully maybe they're rusty offensively. Maybe they don't have their legs offensively, and it benefits the Devils. But for me, when I look at this game, I like the under. I don't have the exact stats for you. I didn't reach out to Ralph. I didn't look at these exact ones, but I have always looked towards an under when a team is coming off a game where they have given up 6 or more goals. And, well, we all know it was more than 6 because it was 9. The crazy thing is, though, it's not even like they just fit that system. They also fit the coming off a shutout system where teams have been very, very profitable, both on the money line and team total overs. So I lean towards the Devils, but I do lean towards the under. Kind of my bold play of the night would probably be Pittsburgh team total under. I just think, Carm, when you get embarrassed the way that they did, if you're the New Jersey Devils, you're not going out there tonight saying we got to win this game with offense, because in my opinion, it looks equally as bad if it's 6-4, if it's 6-5 or whatever. If it's a high scoring win, you know what I mean? Like, you need to have a good defensive effort. So I'm talking myself into a lot of unders on tonight's board. I like this one. Hopefully a good defensive game.
Yeah, we'll see if it's a good defensive game or not. Let's just hope New Jersey shows up to this one. But if they don't, and they drop a couple more losses, kind of like Jazz on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he needs to be tossed out of that house, because there's a coach on the sidelines waiting, I think, who would be a perfect fit for this New Jersey team. You know who that is, Andrew? Peter DeBoer.
Pete DeBoer. Everybody wants him.
Peter DeBoer. Let's look at his numbers. Last year, 50 wins. The year before, 52. The year before that, 47. The year before that, 43. The year before that, 40. And then 15 of his first 22 games for the Vegas Golden Knights the year prior to that, when he came in as an interim coach or mid-season coach. So the guy accumulates wins. He's done it in Vegas. He's done it in Dallas. And I get it, different players, but you need a coach who has a winning mentality, and Peter DeBoer has one. So with that said, yeah, not Mike McDaniel. I think the Miami coach got fired. It's about time that guy got fired. But anyways, Andrew, I want to talk some numbers here. So I know a lot of you guys love playing stuff like puck lines, because you get that, you see that plus money and you're like, well, why should I lay like minus 170 when I can take the puck line and it's minus 1.5? I get plus 150 on my money. I'm going to show you, this is midterm numbers up until the halfway point of this season thus far. And look at these numbers. There have been 676 games played in the NHL. 304 of those games have been 1-goal games. 45% of the games played this year have been decided by 1 goal. 176 games have gone to overtime, 26%, which also makes it tough when you're thinking about regulation bets. This is why I think, when people ask me, why are my bets always sides and totals? Because I think sides and totals, I get rid of some of the exotics. I don't play a lot of regulation, although I do some. And I hardly ever play a puck line, because it is tough to play a puck line in a season in which almost half of the games have been decided by a goal, unless you're taking the plus 1.5. And even then, you're laying vig. So that's how I look at it, Andrew. Any thoughts?
I think it's really important people look at that stuff, because number one, people don't realize how close games are going to be. But number two, I think you have to realize that this year, more than any other year, Carm, there's not a lot of really, really, really bad teams in the league. We've been able to look around the league a lot over the last handful of years and say, okay, this team right now, they're worth fading on the puck line. This team has lost X amount of games in a row. by at least 2 or more goals. But if you look around the league right now, how many teams can you think of that you'd have success and be up unit wise, just blindly fading? And then that's the thing. You got to take into account the odds. You got to take into account the money line price, the puck line price. And so I agree with you. I think that, just taking a look at the graphic here, the 1-goal games. And then, I've been a huge team totals fan just because the team total doesn't really get in the way of the regulation. Like there's been so many games that I've hit where they win 4-3 in overtime. I would say that 3-3 is a pretty common score going into overtime, and then you don't lose the regulation bet. And I'd be very curious how many teams, that have won in regulation have also hit the puck line. But looking at these numbers here, and a lot of the guys in the chat, they started giving out more overtime points or overtime props. And Carm, I think you and I were getting better at those towards the end of last year and into the playoffs. But it's not that crazy. If you're betting a handful of plus 300s each night, you don't have to hit them all to be successful, right? You don't have to.
Yeah, and you look at it. So when we talk about puck lines, you can look at, say, let's just look at the top 3 right now as far as puck lines go. The Philadelphia Flyers are 28-13 to the puck line, up 14.5 units. The Seattle Kraken are 29-12 to the puck line, plus 11.94, so almost 12 units. And then the Colorado Avalanche at 23-19 to the puck line, and you're up just a little over 10 units betting them. And that takes into account whether they're minus 1.5 or they're plus 1.5 as far as the puck line goes. The 3 worst teams, the Vancouver Canucks at 19-23, down 14.35 units. The Vegas Golden Knights, 12-29 to the puck line, down 14 units. And the New Jersey Devils, 16-27, down 13.3 units. If you're betting against them on the puck line, you're probably making some money. If you're taking them on the puck line, you are down money.
And I think, Carm, like when you just look at some of this stuff here, would you say that you're interested overall in like betting puck lines when they're a bigger price or when they're kind of a smaller price, just based on the fact that a lot of the times, the prices are kind of indicating to you, hey, look, this one is plus 155 for a reason. This one is plus 200 for a reason. You know what I mean? Like some of these games lately that have moved to pick 'em, like let's say sharp money comes in overnight, right? It opens up minus 140. We see it get close to almost a pick. Like I asked Prez when he was on earlier in the week, and he said he does not care about movement at all in hockey. I do care about that because I still think the market has value. And so looking at that stuff, it would actually make me be more interested in looking at a puck line, seeing the movement go the other way, versus if I saw it coming in, it would scare me off a puck line because I would think maybe this game's going to be a bit tighter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's somewhere where I obviously I disagree with Prez on. I think the movement does matter, or at the very least, the movement should force you to look into the game a little further, do some research, check different social media channels, check team pages to find any up-to-date information. Because you normally, and that's one of the great things about it, and this isn't promo wise, I'm not trying to promo it, but odds logic. The idea of having odds logic, even guys trying it for 7 days for free, there's no obligation after that. Try it for 7 days for free. In the NHL, the minute someone is announced out or injured and will not be playing in tonight's game, you can beat some slow moving books with your money line, with money line plays, because you see a line move and it's moving. When it moves 20 or 25 cents, it's moving for a reason. And it's normally because something happened at the morning skate. And that's when you see some movements in the mornings. You find out which goalie is in the starters crease as well too. So I think it's important to have as many tools as possible. So he may not. Prez is more of a feel guy when it comes to betting, and I get it.
Mhm.
It's been successful for him, but I think when a number moves and it moves a little more than you expected it to move, you need to do a little more research and dive into it a little bit more in order to make sure that you are making a bet. Because the worst thing you do is you make a bet and then it's almost game time and you find out, wait, this guy's not playing. I wouldn't have bet
Yeah.
this if I knew this. Right. So you got to have that information available. Information's your friend. So,
And one thing cool too is
you.
that Odds Logic just launched something new this morning, Carm. I'm looking at it right now. It's really, really cool. It's a sharp money alert feature. Right up on your window, it will give you an alert. It will give you a message letting you know about sharp movement. You select the books that you're using, that you're able to use, or even that you want to track, and it will give you notifications. And a lot of you guys will wonder sometimes, okay, how is somebody forming an opinion on this college basketball team in the middle of nowhere? How are you guys having opinions on, this hockey team that nobody's really talking about? And I'll just end it with this. You don't always have to bet the Edmontons or the Tampa Bays or the Colorados. You can bet, the Columbuses of the world. You can bet, the Utahs of the world, the smaller markets a little bit here. I guess Columbus, not that small of a market, but you get where I'm going. You can bet Little Rock. You can bet Middle Tennessee. You can bet these smaller markets, and you guys can use the odds pages to have success with that. Carm, I'm running a little bit late. I'm going to just really quick, got 2 props for you, or 3 props to bring up here, 3 different parlays, I should say. The parlay is pretty big, so that's why it's tough for you guys to probably see on the screen there. I want to preface it with this, guys, and I've been saying this the past couple shows. These are 3 separate 2-team parlays. If you put them all into one, it's plus 997. But these are 3 separate parlays. I'm playing all of them individually. The first one, we've got the Avalanche off a couple tough games in a row. They're going to be happy to be back home. And quite honestly, the Senators are just struggling defensively right now and in goal. Brock Nelson has been a great player for them lately. He's undervalued, I would say, in the market. And same thing for Arturi Lehkonen. Those are 2 guys you can get some good numbers on outside of McKinnon, outside of Natchez, outside of Makar. Plus 142 for these 2 line mates to get on the board for a point tonight. Let's move to the Maple Leafs and Philadelphia Flyers game. These are 2 line mates as well. John Tavares and Matthew Knies. John Tavares has done very, very well in his career against the Philadelphia Flyers. It's a good matchup-based pick. Matthew Knies is right there with him. He is a left winger on John Tavares' line. And I'll tell you, this Leafs team is playing some pretty good hockey. You just might not realize it because everybody else around them is also playing good hockey as well. Next one we're going to look towards is Nico Hischier. 1 point, the captain of the Devils after a 9-0 loss. And Jack Hughes, he's going to pull that trigger tonight. 3+ shots on goal for him. We got a plus 142, a plus 112, and a plus 114. Carm, 3 parlays that I like. And if you put all those together, you also get plus 997. Let's have a good night here, guys. Like these plays quite a bit. 3 different parlays, and hopefully we can have some success here.
997. I like it, Andrew. Whatever you do, don't add a minus 1,000 to that. Try and make it an even 10-1 ticket, because those are the ones that you add at the end of a parlay, and it you win all the other ones, and you're like, oh my God, how did this minus 1,000?
The minus lose? Like 500.
Yes, minus 500. Yeah, we have that great deal there, the 3-day all access. Is that a 3-day or a 7-day all access, Andrew? Read that one off one more time, and then I'll do the pod.
7 days all access for the price of 3 days. So for the next little while here, guys, 7-day all access pass for $69. Same price as what we have right now for a 3-day package. You can get NHL, soccer, college basketball, NFL, and everything that we have going at WagerTalk. I got a big play going this weekend for NFL player props. In my opinion, guys, these wildcard weekends, the player props, it's one of the sharper ways to go to find a hidden way, find a player that's undervalued, find a certain spot to bet on. And I know Carmine has been rock solid with his side bets all season long in the NFL. So you guys are going to get that. You're going to get all of our hockey plays. You're going to get anything else that we release. And Carm, my phone must not have been working. I didn't hear from you with your soccer. I hope you did well yesterday. Make sure you guys join him at wt.buzz/CB and myself, wt.buzz/AM. This is the way to go. If you want to buy any picks today, $69 for 7 days. And yes, WagerTalk, they got some dirty minds over there at the back end group, but 7 days, $69, guys. It's the way to go.
Andrew, you should be happy your phone wasn't working yesterday because my first 2 losses in about a week of soccer. So I'm not happy about it, but
Carm, we lost you for a second there, brother. We lost you. You might have hit the mute button on your microphone. We'll get Carm back in just 1 second here. Meanwhile, I feel like an absolute idiot because not that you guys want us promoting anymore, but how much better does this look, guys, than what I was just rocking with? Hold on. How much better does this look? This looks so much better. And I was using the wrong one. I mean, that is horrible. I was using a screenshot from my page, and we had this to use as a great graphic. 7 days all access, $69. Wow, look, Carmine, he's right there on the screen there. He made the graphic. Oh, I'm there in the second row. You got to love it, Carmine. We made the graphic. Great to see. All right.
Oh, look at that.
You aren't on mute this time. Give us your play of the day, man. Give us your play of the day.
I hit the little wire on the mic here, but before I get to the play of the day, NHL will be up right after the show. 3 games I like. I need a 3-0 night, guys, and dial up. No dial up. 3-0 night in the NHL, and let's just get this train back on track. In soccer today, listen, everything is going in the Premier League. I looked at yesterday's games in the Premier League. I said, everything is going Arsenal's way. This is going to be a good day for Arsenal, and they're not even playing. What happens? Man City drop points. Chelsea drops points. All the teams that are supposed to be winning and keeping pace with Arsenal are not keeping part. If Arsenal get a big enough lead, they might not bottle it like they do each and every year, it seems. So what do I got to do? I'm taking Arsenal today against Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool struggling. They're on the road. They are a very good team, but Arsenal are just they're playing like the Invincibles, if anyone remembers the Arsenal of old. So I am playing them today. It is not a client play. It is just a bet that I'm making because I'm going to be watching the game. As far as the Super Cup in Spain, I do like in that one. I think there are going to be some goals scored between both Atletico Madrid and the Madrid Derby, Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. In that one, we'll see how that one goes. Barcelona put up a 5 spot on Athletic Bilbao yesterday, and now we get back to hockey. The pod play. Yes, guys, I wasn't drinking when I created this graphic. It's dry January. I am taking the New Jersey Devils at even money tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's see if these bums can bounce back from that 9-0 dismantling the other night against the New York Islanders. Let's see if they can bounce back here. Jake Allen in goal. Come on, Allen, do it for us. Let's get the pod back on track. New Jersey Devils plus 100. That's your pod play.
Let's have a big night here, guys. It's an awesome slate on Thursday in the NHL. Hopeful that you guys can all make some money. We got some props. I gave you guys 6 player props to attack. Obviously, those are 2-teamers you guys can get. And if you want to do a little sprinkle, small little sprinkle for a plus 997. Not too bad there with that. Carmine play of the day, New Jersey Devils. We got soccer action in the afternoon. We've got NHL action going tonight. We've got college basketball action going tonight. Do not forget, guys, if you want to sign up with myself or Carmine, make sure you use the 7-day pass. That's the way to go. Forget about buying one play at a time. That's the way to go, getting 7 days right now. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate you. Let's try and get over 225 likes. We can do that. I believe we can. 225 likes, because on YouTube right now, we've got 210 people live. We got 530 people across all platforms. We can get over 225 likes from you on this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time right here on Puck Time.